right? I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna pay attention. We got on the practice field full speed. I mean, taking snaps, full speed, walkthroughs.
Peyton Manning, known to fans as the Sheriff, is one of the most decorated quarterbacks in NFL history. He won 2 Super Bowls, collected 5 MVP trophies, earned 14 Pro Bowl selections, and became famous for his unmatched ability to control the game at the line of scrimmage. His name will always stand among the greatest, not just for the records he set, but for the way he changed how the position was played. But here's the truth. Even a legend like Manning didn't build his legacy alone. His greatness was shaped by idols he studied as a kid, rivals who tested him on the biggest stages, teammates who brought out the best in him, and even younger stars who carried his influence into the next generation. One moment sums it up perfectly. In the 2006 AFC Championship game, Manning faced his toughest rival, Tom Brady. Down 21-3, Manning rallied the Colts to a comeback victory that finally pushed him to his first Super Bowl. Afterward, he admitted it was battles like those that prepared him to rise to the occasion. Before we jump into Peyton's 6 favorite players, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're breaking down the stories behind the NFL's biggest legends every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. Without these 6 legends shaping, testing, and inspiring him, Peyton Manning's story of greatness might never have reached the same heights. Archie Manning, the first idol. For Peyton Manning, the very first hero he ever looked up to wasn't on TV or in a football card pack. It was his own father, Archie Manning. Before Peyton ever threw a pass in the NFL, he was a kid in New Orleans, watching his dad play quarterback for the Saints. Archie might not have had the rings or the flashy stats, but he carried the weight of a struggling franchise with toughness and dignity. Peyton has said many times that his first favorite player was his dad, because Archie showed him what it meant to compete no matter the circumstances. The proof of that admiration is clear in Peyton's own words. When asked who shaped his love for the game, Peyton once said, "My dad was always my favorite player. He never had a winning team in New Orleans, but he never stopped giving everything he had." Archie's career was defined by battling uphill. He was sacked hundreds of times behind weak offensive lines, yet he kept standing up and leading. Peyton carried that memory into his own career, learning that leadership isn't about how easy the game comes to you, but how you respond when everything is stacked against you. There's also a personal side to their bond. Archie didn't push Peyton into football. He let him find it naturally. Instead of demanding his sons to become quarterbacks, Archie gave them freedom to love the game in their own way. Peyton has often shared that Archie's biggest lesson wasn't how to throw a spiral, but how to respect the game, respect your teammates, and carry yourself with class. That calm encouragement created a foundation that allowed Peyton to thrive under the biggest spotlights later in life. Isn't about wins or losses alone. It's about perseverance, respect, and leading with character. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Archie Manning taught Peyton that being a quarterback, even when the scoreboard doesn't go your way. Those lessons, learned at home before Peyton ever wore a Colts or Broncos jersey, became the first building blocks of his legendary career. Dan Marino, the pure passer. Before Peyton Manning became the NFL's master of precision, his eyes were glued to one quarterback above all others, Dan Marino. For a kid growing up in the 1980s and early 90s, Marino was like watching a rocket launcher disguised as a right arm. He didn't need mobility. He stood tall in the pocket, read defenses in seconds, and fired passes faster than anyone had ever seen. Peyton has called Marino his childhood hero, the quarterback who showed him that passing could be both an art and a weapon. More than Super Bowl rings, it was Marino's mechanics and vision that shaped Peyton's idea of how to play the position. The proof of Marino's influence was everywhere. Marino's 1984 season was one for the ages, 5,084 passing yards and 48 touchdowns, numbers that seemed untouchable for decades. Young Peyton studied that season like a textbook. Years later, when asked about Marino, Peyton said, "Dan changed how we all looked at quarterbacking. His release, his command, it was on another level." For Peyton, Marino wasn't just another star. He was the standard of pure throwing ability. Even without a Super Bowl title, Marino's control of the game left a mark on every quarterback who followed, Manning included. There's also a personal story that shows just how much Marino meant to Peyton. As a rookie in 1998, Manning met Marino in person for the first time. He admitted later that he was starstruck, saying he tried not to act like too much of a fan. What stuck with Peyton wasn't just Marino's talent, but the respect Marino gave him as a young quarterback finding his way. That short encounter made a lasting impression. It was a reminder that even legends can carry themselves with humility. The takeaway is clear. Dan Marino taught Peyton Manning that being a quarterback is about more than strength or speed. It's about anticipation, timing, and turning the pocket into your kingdom. Marino showed him that you don't have to win the most rings to inspire the next generation. You just have to play the game with unmatched excellence. For Peyton, Marino wasn't just a childhood hero. He was the model of how to throw the ball with both beauty and authority. Eli Manning, the brother in arms. For Peyton Manning, admiration wasn't limited to football idols from the past. It extended to his own younger brother, Eli Manning. After Archie and Dan Marino, Peyton openly admitted that Eli was his favorite player, not just because of family ties, but because Eli carried himself with a quiet toughness that spoke louder than words. While Peyton was known as the field general with constant audibles and big stats, Eli carved out his own path, calm, steady, and clutch when the lights were brightest. Watching his brother's career unfold gave Peyton a different kind of pride, one rooted in respect more than rivalry. The proof of Eli's place in football history came in the Super Bowls. Twice he stared down Tom Brady and the mighty Patriots dynasty, and twice he beat them. The 2007 upset, where Eli and the Giants ended New England's perfect season, became one of the most shocking and memorable moments in NFL history. Then, in 2011, Eli did it again. Peyton often praised his brother's ability to rise to the moment, once saying, "Eli was always at his best when everything was on the line." That's something I admired as much as anyone. Beyond the big games, there's a personal angle that deepens Peyton's respect. The two brothers spent countless off-seasons training together, breaking down film, and competing in ways only siblings can. Yet, despite constant comparisons, Eli never tried to be Peyton. He stayed true to his own style. That quiet confidence reminded Peyton that greatness comes in different forms. Eli Manning taught Peyton that leadership doesn't always have to be loud or commanding. Sometimes it's about staying calm in chaos and trusting your moment will come. For Peyton, watching his younger brother conquer the biggest stages proved that resilience and poise can be just as legendary as gaudy stats. Tom Brady, the fierce rival. If Peyton Manning had one opponent who defined his career, it was Tom Brady. The two quarterbacks became the faces of the NFL for over a decade, turning every Colts-Patriots or Broncos-Patriots matchup into must-see TV. Brady wasn't just another rival. He was the standard that forced Peyton to dig deeper, to prepare longer, and to sharpen every detail of his game. Manning has said many times that the battles with Brady made him a better quarterback, because nothing less than his very best would be enough. The proof lives in their legendary showdowns. They met 17 times in their careers, with Brady winning the early meetings, but Peyton taking control later. The most famous clash came in the 2006 AFC Championship game. Down 21-3 at halftime, Peyton led the Colts back to beat Brady's Patriots 38-34, a victory that sent him to his first Super Bowl. Afterward, Manning admitted, "Tom pushed me to be at my best. Without that rivalry, I don't know if I would have reached the same level." Their duels weren't just games, they were wars that shaped the legacy of both men. Away from the field, though, their relationship was different. At Pro Bowls, the two would joke like old friends, even rooming next to each other. Manning once teased that Brady was his roommate nemesis, but beneath the humor was mutual respect. They understood that their rivalry was special, the kind of competition that doesn't just test you, it defines you. Tom Brady taught Peyton Manning that greatness isn't built in comfort. It's forged when someone across the field refuses to let you settle. For Peyton, Brady wasn't just the toughest opponent. He was the ultimate measuring stick, the rival who turned every game into a legacy moment. Quick pause here. If rivalries like Peyton versus Brady bring back memories for you? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the legends on Peyton's list. John Elway, the standard bearer. Before Peyton Manning ever wore a Colts jersey or a Broncos jersey, John Elway had already written the playbook on what it meant to be a franchise quarterback. Elway was larger than life in Denver. 2 Super Bowl titles, countless comebacks, and a toughness that made him beloved by his city. For Peyton, Elway was part of the generation that set the standard he wanted to live up to. Manning has often said that when he thought about what a true franchise quarterback looked like, Elway's name was one of the first that came to mind. The proof is in Elway's most famous moments. Think back to Super Bowl 32, when the Broncos faced the Packers. Late in the game, Elway made the legendary helicopter run, diving into defenders and spinning through the air to get a first down. That single play, full of grit and sacrifice, helped Denver win its first Super Bowl. Peyton admired that clip not just as a fan, but as a quarterback who knew how much it takes to put your body on the line for your team. As he once said, John showed you how to lead, how to give everything when it matters most. The personal connection came later, when Peyton signed with the Denver Broncos in 2012. Elway, then the team's executive vice president, was the man who convinced Peyton to bring his talents to Denver. That bond carried weight. Peyton was not only following in Elway's footsteps, but trying to add his own chapter to the Broncos' story. The pressure could have been crushing, but instead, it became motivation. The takeaway: John Elway taught Peyton Manning that a true franchise quarterback is more than a passer. He's a leader, a fighter, and the face of a city. By stepping into Denver and carrying Elway's torch, Peyton proved he could honor the past while writing his own legacy. Marvin Harrison, the teammate who completed him. Every great quarterback needs a wide receiver who makes the impossible look routine. For Peyton Manning, that player was Marvin Harrison. From the moment Manning entered the league in 1998, Harrison became his most trusted partner. Together, they built one of the most unstoppable duos in NFL history, combining for 114 touchdown passes, still the most ever between a quarterback and receiver. Peyton often praised Harrison for his precision, his work ethic, and the way he made complicated plays look effortless. He didn't just run routes. He ran them with machine-like detail, and Peyton admired him for it. The proof of their connection showed up every Sunday. Defenses knew the slant to Harrison was coming, yet they couldn't stop it. In 2002, Harrison set an NFL record with 143 catches in a single season, most of them coming off timing routes with Peyton. Years later, Manning said, "Marvin was the most precise route runner I've ever seen. If the ball wasn't where it needed to be, it wasn't on Marvin. It was on me." That level of trust was rare, and it helped shape Peyton's confidence as a passer. Their bond went beyond the stat sheet. Teammates often joked that Peyton and Marvin had a silent language. In practice, they didn't need words. Just a glance or a nod was enough to know what was coming. Harrison wasn't flashy, didn't seek attention, and rarely spoke to the media. But in the locker room and on the field, his quiet professionalism left an impression on Peyton. He showed that leadership doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it's in the way you prepare and perform consistently. The takeaway: Marvin Harrison taught Peyton Manning the value of precision, trust, and consistency. He showed that greatness often comes from perfecting the small details day after day. For Peyton, Harrison wasn't just a teammate, he was the perfect complement, the receiver who helped turn his audibles and vision into a record-breaking legacy. Greatness in football isn't built by stats alone. It's built through rivals, mentors, and teammates who push each other to new heights. For Peyton Manning, the journey was never just about MVPs or Super Bowls. It was about Archie teaching him resilience, Marino inspiring his mechanics, Eli showing calm under pressure, Brady testing his limits, Elway setting the standard, and Harrison completing the picture. That's the real story of Peyton Manning. Greatness shaped by greatness. If you enjoyed this video, drop your favorite Peyton Manning moment in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into the legends who made the NFL what it is today. Because at the end of the day, legends don't just play the game, they build each other's legacies.